Hey, good morning to those of you out there on the West Coast. Good afternoon to those of you on the East Coast here with me. It's funny. It's funny. Usually I'm kind of rushed, but today I'm a little bit more relaxed. I'm ready. I'm just hanging out, waiting for it to start. And I think I had too much time for my mind to just get a little distracted. But I'm on track again, so don't worry about it. Hey, we're gonna get started here in just 2 seconds. Let me turn off the captions so they don't run the whole time. And before we get started, I on the formal part of the training for today on proposals, I like to start off with a tip just as a way to say thank you to those showing up early and on time. We have almost 130 people here live at the start of our training, which is a really good showing, right? And so my tip for you today is to really look at your headline. And your headline is this message that's right below your name in LinkedIn. We're here in LinkedIn right now. You're networking with a lot of people. People can see your company or your name and then your headline right below that. And what I want to encourage you to do is to make that a message that quickly communicates what you do in like 10 words or something, a very small amount. And so here's an example that I put into the chat from yesterday. I was looking at somebody's thing, and in the chat, it just, or excuse me, in their headline, it just says they're a service disabled veteran-owned small business. Well, that doesn't really say a lot, right? There's 14,000 of those in DSBS, et cetera. But the part I like that related to their business, because they help with moving, et cetera, I suggested to them they can have a headline that begins with, "We help people get from point A to point B." And actually, this person had asked me, "What do I put on my business card?" And after I got done with my rant of saying business cards are dead, I said, well, if you're going to have a business card, consider having something like that short message that I call a headline. And if you put it on a business card that says, "We help people get from point A to point B," or "We help agencies move from point A to point B," what are you talking about? How do you do that? Right? And if you put it into LinkedIn, people see that. And your headline is out there selling for you 24/7. When you engage with my content, I have thousands of people who come and look at my content. Buyers come in and look at my content every single day in the federal market, right? And so you want them to be able to see a quick little message that says, "Oh, elevator services. Oh, cybersecurity. Let me click on that person and go look at their profile." And it's the same thing when you engage anywhere on LinkedIn. Your headline's doing that. So make sure you have a good little message. If you think you have a good headline that's like that 10 little words of "We help people get from point A to point B," throw it in the chat. I'd love to look at it, maybe give you quick feedback later on today or whenever I get to the comments. Okay, so let's rock and roll in the formal part of the training. Thanks for those of you engaging in the chat in there. Government contractors often submit proposals after they see an RFP drop in SAM or drop in GSA e-buy or some vehicles out there, et cetera. And they turn it into this compliance exercise, this exercise of just writing a response. It's supposed to be 10 pages or 100 pages, and they push it forward, right? But that's not how you win. You can fire off as many as you want, but you're really not going to win. I don't have necessarily a problem with responding to an RFP when you see it in SAM, right? We like to encourage you to get started earlier in the process. But what I have a challenge with is when we're just writing proposals as government contractors that are purely compliance exercises. There's a lot of AI tools that are coming out, and people might see them as a way to rapidly respond to RFIs or RFPs in particular, and just send a proposal into the government. It's like, no, that tool is like a good technical writer. They're just there as part of the team. It's not the only person. And so today's training, I really want to talk about the ingredients of winning proposals in the federal government space. And I'm speaking about this from a government contracting salesperson's perspective. I'm not a proposal manager. I'm not here to write and talk about the different sections of an RFP and breaking it down. What I want to talk about is how do you write winning proposals? And what I mean by winning proposals are proposals that are most likely going to be chosen by the buyer. When they see it, they're like, "Oh my God, I want to award to that." There might be 3 or 4 other companies that are doing similar, writing winning proposals, right? They've attended my training. But I want to make sure you've got it covered down on what those ingredients are. And I broke it down into 3 parts, right? Today, I want to talk to you about the framework of a winning proposal. And what do I really want you to be paying attention to? Just 3 key things. And then the second thing I'm going to cover down on is this whole idea of relationships and getting insight from the customer. It's really vital that you have discussions, you build relationships with your customers in order to have a winning proposal. And then the last thing is I'm going to talk about this idea of teammates, right? Teammates are going to make you stronger. We call them competimates sometimes. Sometimes we're competing with them. Sometimes we're teaming with them. But every opportunity I want to encourage you to pursue with a team member. It can only get better because, if you think about it at $1 million level, you're like, there's a little bit, but keep thinking about it at the 10 million and the 100 million and the $1 billion level. You're going to have teammates, and building those relationships early on is really important. So if you're looking to write winning proposals, if you're looking to win more in the federal government space, win more contracts by writing these winning proposals, just let me know you're here for the ride. Put "Let's Win" in the chat. Don't forget, by the way, in the chat, that's your community. It's one of my favorite things about the trainings, not just that you get to listen to me talk for 30 minutes, but you get to build connections. Literally, I was talking to somebody this morning who in this community, somebody else had connected. They built a network. They saw that they did something and they threw an opportunity over. Now the two of them are looking to pursue it together, right? That's networking. It's not about getting a sale in this community in our chat, for example. It's about meeting people where you can possibly work together or possibly just help each other without getting anything out of it. That's a network. If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonald. I want to welcome you to my federal sales training, where I provide tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years in the federal market as a small business owner. And since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret. It's just a process. When we follow a process A to Z, we're going to have repeatable, predictable results. That's what I want for you. I want it for your company, and I certainly want it for your proposals. And so that's why I'm giving you the tips that I'm giving you today. If you haven't done so already, do me a favor, subscribe to my newsletter. It's Government Contracting Success Newsletter. I put out content constantly that's related to your success factors in the government, in the federal market, right? So I put out information about federal agencies. Recently, I just talked about an RFI that for a $12 billion contract vehicle that a lot of people didn't hear about, but the process is really quick to respond. Other times I put out people's names, numbers, and emails in the federal market. Any of that information that we can have that would be a help to you, we put it in the newsletter. So make sure you subscribe to the newsletter and stay informed. And then the last thing is, I just want to thank the people who registered for training today. We had about 140 people registered for training today. We have over 200 people attending, which is fantastic, right? This is our network. And when you say that you're coming to training by just clicking that button and registering for training, you don't even have to put your information in. You just literally click a button. When you do that, it's a very simple thank you to me and my team as we provide this training for you every single day. So thank you for doing that. Also, when you register for training, LinkedIn puts the word out to other people. I've got one more training this week tomorrow. It's going to be about capability statements that actually get read, actually help you get meetings. And so make sure you go register for that. I think we got like almost 200 people registered for that one. Okay, I wanted to really quick just say, this is not a commercial, but it's like a public service announcement, if you will. I got a large company. They're doing a little bit more than $100 million, looking for small businesses to team with. They're not a customer of mine. He's just a friend of mine who I know is open to working with small businesses. And if you can read this, right, they're looking to expand their business through subcontracting to smalls. And so if you're a small business that has 3 past performances in the federal market, doing cloud work, agile software development, any of the emerging technology space, data or cyber, then do me a favor in the chat, just put, what can I have you put in the chat? Just reach out to me on direct message. I don't know how to put it in the chat at the moment, but if you've got those 3 past performances, reach out. Other times I'll tell you about, if you don't have past performance, how I might make introductions. But this time I'm looking to help these guys help a few of you get opportunities together. All right, so let's dive into the meat of today's training. So here I'm describing the framework of a winning proposal. I'm not laying out some outline of how do you write the proposal, the words, right? The framework of a winning proposal is that it needs to be compliant, compelling, and convincing. That's what a proposal to me needs to be. I actually disagree with proposal managers leading the proposal efforts. And I know this is a completely controversial thing to say maybe, but the idea of a proposal manager is to make sure everything gets done right and gets out the door. The idea of technical writers is to write some stuff, but capture people. Business development, capture people. We salespeople, we people who are talking to the customer on a regular basis, we should be thinking about a winning proposal. What does it take, right? And so a proposal management team, proposal manager, whoever, they'll nail down the compliance Compliance is just making sure we're dotting the I's and crossing the T's. And so you can think about it when an RFP drops, it's got a set of instructions, and we need to follow those instructions. There needs to be this many pages, this font, these basic things that are in there. We just need to follow those, and those are important. The second thing for compliance is that there's a lot of shall statements and must statements. And ironically, during capture, before that RFP drops, you should be trying to shape those shall and must statements. So there's more of them in there that you can do and less of them in there that cause you headaches, right? But shall and must statements must be found, and any proposal manager will find them, right? That's not a problem. I always say that compliance is the easy part of proposal writing. You just look in and make sure you find the shall and must statements, and fundamentally you'll get there. And then the last part about compliance is including relevant past performances. And so if the government says, we want 3 past performances in similar size or scope or within our agency, whatever, then you need to be compliant with that. And I'm going to separate out the compliance of past performance and the storytelling of past performance. So compliance side, you need to make sure that I did this all the time. If I was going after opportunities with teammates and I need past performances to be at, let's say the past performances need to be at $5 or $10 million a year in task orders, then what I would say to my teammates is that's the only ones that are going to be acceptable. It's not acceptable if you've got a $3 million a year past performance. I need $5 million past performances. And so you need to look in and understand that. Well, those are just compliance activities. And for the most part, very easy to do because it's either a yes or a no. But when you move forward into bullet number 2 here of the framework, where I say it needs to be compelling, now you're turning the proposal from a compliance exercise to a sales exercise. A compelling proposal, it's a page turner, right? It's one that they want to read, and it's where they begin to start wanting to award the contract to you, or at least put you on the short list and try to award it to you. This is where it starts becoming a winning proposal, not just a compliant proposal. And so in order for it to be compelling, it needs to be clear and concise, similar maybe to these bullets. One of my pieces of advice to people is, if you see a proposal can be 25 pages, write it in 15 to 20 pages. Why take 25 pages? Just because they gave it to us? Figure out how to get your message in less pages. Do it 10 pages, right? Figure out how to say that. There was this great quote from Mark Twain, I think: if you need me to talk for an hour, I can do it right now. If you need me to talk for 5 minutes, I'll need a month of preparation. And the whole point is, it's way harder to have a clear, concise message that Mark Twain was talking about. And in your proposal, it's the same thing. If you can make a clear, concise delivery of your proposal, like 10 pages instead of 25, then the reader is going to really embrace it, and they're going to be able to jump to that message faster. So the second thing about compelling is it needs to tie to their mission. You need to understand, what are they trying to do? What are their, obviously, challenges and pain points, but what are their strategic goals, their priorities, their objectives? How are they measuring these things they're doing? These are outside of what's written in the proposal, but you need to tie this requirement the government has to their broader need. And then the last thing is you need to help them see the outcome. So if you're writing a proposal and you're saying, hey, we're going to do this work, like I'm working with a customer right now that's doing an AI ML, artificial intelligence type response to the government, you can't just say, hey, we're going to do the work and here's some of the technical aspect. You need to help them see the outcome of how they'll be better, how they'll be able to accomplish their mission more effectively using this solution, this approach, this technical approach that we're suggesting. And so they need to be excited about it and to go, oh my God, I can see myself there. If you think about real estate for a second, if you've ever bought a house, real estate agents, I don't know if they still do it, but certainly in the old days, when they'd walk me and my wife into a house, they'd sit there and say, can you see your couch here and watching a TV show right up against that wall? And we're like, yeah. Well, what they're doing is getting us to put ourselves now in that couch, which is in this house, which they want me to buy, right? And you want to do that same thing. You want to help the buyers see themselves in your solution being served by you. That's compelling. The last one on the framework of a winning proposal, it needs to be convincing. And what I mean by this is, you've wowed me as a federal buyer. You've compelled, you've made a compelling case for why your proposal is the right one and why your solution is the right one, and I should go with you. But I have responsibility to the federal, to the taxpayer, to make sure I'm spending the money right. So convince me now that what you're saying that excited me is doable. So there's a difference between exciting me about it and then demonstrating to me that we can get past the excitement. It's basically take me from the honeymoon to a happy marriage for life, right? Kind of thing. Should convince me that this is going to be a good thing. And so one of the ways you could be convincing is to just write at a third grade level, not a PhD level. Don't fill your proposals with this heavy jargon. Don't make it seem like you're some academic in there, because the readers are not academics. The readers are the same people who go to Twitter, who go to Facebook and LinkedIn and scroll through feeds. The readers are the same people who just watched the Super Bowl or who are binge watching the best TV show that's out there. The reader is you. Do you like to read PhD level content? No. You're not going to open up some big Harvard Business Review type magazine and zoom through that, right? Unless you're on a long plane flight, and then you do that. But if you write at a third grade level, you're making it very easy for them to quickly go through the words so that they're focused on the message you're trying to get to them, which is the second bullet, right? You're trying to prove to them that your solution is right through data and evidence. And I'll give you an example. My last company, it was SharePoint based. And so Microsoft SharePoint was our expertise. And when a customer would look for, there would be an opportunity to say, we want to migrate from on-prem, which is basically means SharePoint in servers in an agency. We want to migrate from SharePoint on-prem to SharePoint in the cloud. What I would talk to them about, and I would get them excited about in bullet number 2 here, compelling, is I would talk to them about this idea that you don't want to just move to the cloud. What you want to do, and upgrade, right? Those are two different things. I would tell them, separate it out. Move to the cloud and then upgrade. It'll make it better for your users. And I would talk about why that's better. Well, convincing, when I go into convincing, I'm proving my solution is right. Then I would sit there and tell stories. And remember when I said past performances can be a compliance exercise, but past performances can also be stories woven throughout your entire proposal. You don't need big things, but I can put in, look, I migrated 100,000 users in the Air Force. This is a true story. I mean, literally with my company, we migrated 100,000 users. And the way we did it with zero user complaints was, first we moved the whole agency, or the whole command over to the cloud without anybody even really knowing, because we didn't change the look and feel. We didn't change anything. We just moved the back end first. And so now we're off the old technology on the new. Then we upgraded everybody, but incrementally this way. And so in this convincing area, I'm telling a story of how I'm doing it. So in my compelling areas where I'm saying this is the technical approach I'm going to take, and I'm exciting you about it, and then I'm throwing in some past performances stories to demonstrate that this is doable. And then the last one is prove you're the best company. And this kind of goes with that story I just told. I just said we did 100,000 user base. I could drop in a couple of others. I could drop in a couple of quotes that people gave me from the Air Force as an example. There's ways to demonstrate this, but when you demonstrate you're the best company for them, you're making it easy for them to choose you, which is making your proposal a winning proposal instead of just a compliance exercise. You don't want them to sit there and say, these guys will do. What you want is for them to say, I wish I could award to this company. I know there might be a couple of companies like that they wish they could award to, but you absolutely want to stand above your competitors. And it's not that hard if you make your proposals compliant, compelling, and convincing. By the way, if you followed all that, you agree with that, and you're going to start making yours compliant, compelling, and convincing, put 3 C's into the chat. Give me a little break while I take some water. So the first thing we talked about is the framework of a winning proposal. Now I want to talk about 2 things that you need to put in place in order to really strengthen or increase the chances that you're writing winning proposals. And so one thing that's really important to remember is that relationships are vital for success in federal government contracting. In particular, they're vital for writing good proposals. Specifically, in this case, we're talking about insight. How do you understand the customer and understand what they need, what they want, et cetera? And so I have 3 strategic relationships here that you should be developing. You certainly want to develop them when you're doing business development. That's the whole point of business development, is to get to know an agency, build relationships, and identify opportunities. When you build these relationships, the acquisition personnel might change sometimes, But for the most part, if you go after the same type of work like SharePoint or elevator maintenance or whatever, then it's going to be the similar program offices that are in there. And so those three relationship types that you want to be chasing down in an agency are the small business professional. These are what we call focuses of receptivity. They're willing to, they don't buy anything. They don't have the need. What they do have, though, is a willingness to be able to be a liaison between the federal buyers, their customers, and small business or even large, right? But on industry side. And so they can share information with you. They can share basic information like situational or factual information. They can also try to make introductions and get you further in. I've done training on this in the past about how to use a small business professional to get in. And when you build that relationship and they know what you do and you come back to them on a regular basis, every 2 to 4 weeks, you're building those relationships within an agency, they will come to really trust you. They're going to know, like, and trust you, right? They're not going to buy from you because that's not what they do, but they can definitely help you. And when we say a person of receptivity, a focus of receptivity, it means that they're going to help you learn more about their agency and to make introductions. The second group you want to track on are acquisition professionals. And if I take a quick, and by the way, this acquisition professionals, it's just a contracting office. So I mean contracting officer, contract specialist, could be the contract officer representative, unless they're embedded fully with the program office, then they kind of switch to the next level. But the acquisition professionals are what we call focuses of power. They don't have the need. They're not the one with the need, that requirement, right? They have the power to buy, though, because they're the contracting shop. And that's how it works in the federal market, is that the contracting officer is the one who signs off a contract with you. You do not get a contract from the program office. You get it from the acquisition shop. And they have different needs. They have different information they'll share. And so when you build relationships with a contracting shop, contracting officers, contract specialists, et cetera, you're going to get insight on what's important to them, what they're looking for, maybe how they see the reporting that you do, or some of the concerns that they have about how you're executing on the contract, or their ability to look and go, can you manage the financial contract or a contract of this size, right? The financial aspect. You have to have conversations with them, though, to be able to get there. And by the way, if you're just getting started, I'm not expecting you to get in there and do this. But I have customers, for example, been around a while. I'm like, okay, you need to get in. You need to be doing this because this is fundamental to first business development and then capture management activities. And so capture activities that you're doing, getting in and having these conversations are tied to an opportunity which leads to that proposal. You're trying to make a winning proposal. One quick thing on the aside, when I work with customers and any chance I get their CRM or their sales pipeline and I put it in SharePoint. If you have Microsoft SharePoint and Microsoft Teams, then put your pipeline in there. It's a great place to put it if you don't have another one. But in my pipeline, for each opportunity we're chasing, it has a field that says POCs. And I always look in there for points of contact from these three groups. If I look at an opportunity and somebody is trying to move it forward, but they can't tell me who the small business professional is, who 1 or 2 acquisition personnel are, and who at least 3 or 4 program office personnel are, then I know that they don't know anything about that opportunity. No matter what else I see, if you can't tell me who the people are, then you sure are not even talking to them. And if you're not talking to them, you're not getting a lot of insight. And so it's important to get insight. The program office is director of IT or facility management or the chief of HR, right? So you want to get begin to build relationships with these people in these different roles so you can get in and have conversations with them, understand their challenges, pain points, etc. I have all sorts of training you can watch about how to have those meetings. But the first step when you're thinking about tying this back to winning proposals is understand you have to have relationships with these people and get in and start talking to them to learn about that opportunity more, that requirement that they have. And when you understand that, when you have that insight, you're able to weave it into the proposal, which allows you to start making that proposal a lot more compelling. Very quickly, I just wanted to show you when I'm talking about building relationships and I'm talking about gathering this information, this is a diagram, a handout that I have, and happy to send it to you at any point. If you want, just put it in the chat. Say handout, please. Shift to the left is what this is called. And the idea when we say shift to the left is that you have the RFP and it drops, right? Let's say it drops in SAM and you see it. Fine, you can decide to move forward and pursue it. The problem is when an RFP drops, all dialogue stops, right? The government no longer is allowed to talk to industry, certainly not one-on-one, about that requirement. And so what you want to do, if you want to increase the chances of having a winning proposal, the strength of your proposal, is you want to start shifting left in that sales process. So right now I'm talking about RFIs, sources sought notices. You might see those in SAM as well, or if you've got contract vehicles, but you want to find those and participate in those. When the government is dropping RFIs and sources sought, they're in this formal market research phase. This is the chance to be able to engage with that customer. You can get in and start talking to people, but you can shift even further left into what I call the informal market research phase. And here you can start talking to them, getting into the program office in particular, to try to talk about the need. What I always like to tell my customers is don't talk about an opportunity ever. Get in there and talk about their needs, their goals, their challenges, etc., and make sure your questions are aligned to an opportunity you want to chase. But don't talk about an opportunity early on in the phase. Help them understand that you're there to have a dialogue, to learn about their agency, to share about some of your solutioning approach, etc. If all you're doing is selling, you can wait to quoting, you can wait till the RFP drops. But if you truly want to serve your customer, if you truly want to have a strong winning proposal, then get into dialogue with the program office early on. And the way you do that is shifting left. I have multiple video replay trainings of this very topic. How do I shift left? What do I do when I'm in there? So I know this one's very superficial on the topic, but I dive deep into this multiple times. And so you can really find a lot of good training on how to do business and development and capture that'll support your winning proposal needs. Okay, so the last thing we want to pay attention to is teammates. I feel very strongly that teammates make you stronger. And I believe you want a teammate on every single opportunity. I don't really care how small it is, right? Now, if it's a 1 FTE thing, maybe that's the limit. But if there's 2 FTEs, full-time equivalent or billable employee, if there's 2 or more, I'm a huge fan of saying, here, you can have one, I'll have one, and we'll work together, because you're building relationships that guarantee your success in the future. But other reasons that teammates are really valuable to that winning proposal, sticking on today's topic, a winning proposal is very helpful when you or somebody on your team knows the customers. And so teammates can bring in what we call agency intimacy and agency relationships they already have. I'm doing that right now with one of my customers. I'm bringing one company in and connecting them with a customer who's in the agency. The customer that's in the agency doesn't really have the strength on the quals, but these guys do, but they don't have any relationship. Together, they're going to be stronger. And maybe they go after a $1 or $2 million opportunity. And then next year, they're going after $5 and $10 million opportunities. That's the idea. But so first thing is teammates bring agency intimacy, or they know your customer. The second thing is they bring those past performances and stories. Even if some of their past performances can't be used as compliant level past performance, right? They can certainly be used as stories to weave into your compelling proposal. We did this here and here. And then the last thing, and teammates bring subject matter experts. This is phenomenal, right? If you have 7 task areas, truly look at those task areas and go, where are we weak? You know what? These 2, we're at a 3 out of a 5. Let's go find a teammate that's a 5 out of a 5 on those. We'll be strong on the first 5. They can cover down the last 2. So that teammate will come in and make you so much stronger and help you have such a stronger winning proposal. So here's what I want you to remember from today's training to take forward. First off, look at the opportunities that you're pursuing in your pipeline right now, right? Do you have relationships with those 3 stakeholders that I said within the government? The second thing, on those opportunities that are in your pipeline, do you have teammates? Go figure out where a teammate can fit in. I have a training on how do you determine what teammates you want to go after and then how to go after them. And the third thing I want you to remember is that you need to be convincing, not just compelling, but convincing. Do you know why you're the best? Could you tell me? Could you tell the customer? Tell the customer. They want to know, right? So make sure you look at your proposals and start asking yourself, well, why are we the best? When you do these 3 things I just mentioned, you're really going to have a much more a stronger proposal and a winning proposal being submitted to your federal agency customers. All right, remember to subscribe to the newsletter, register for training. We got one more tomorrow. And all of us, just remember, government contracting, it's not a secret. It's just a process. I'll see you in the next training.